The warning lights flashed red across Earth's main command center as the massive holographic display suddenly came to life. Static filled the air for a moment before clearing to reveal something that made every human in the room hold their breath. Standing before them was Ambassador Veltar, a towering alien figure with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer like liquid metal. His eyes glowed with an eerie blue light as he stared directly at Commander Park Soo-jin. Park felt her heart racing but kept her face calm. She had been Earth's military leader for 8 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Around her, dozens of officers and technicians watched in complete silence. The only sound was the quiet hum of computers and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment. Veltar's voice was cold and mechanical when he finally spoke. It came through translation devices, but somehow the aliens' contempt was clear in every word. He told them that the Galactic Council had made their final decision about humanity. For too long, humans had been spreading across space, building colonies and mining operations on planets that other species considered their territory. The ultimatum was simple and terrifying. Humanity had exactly 30 solar cycles to pack up and leave every single settlement beyond Earth's solar system. All 12 colonies had to be abandoned. Every mining station, every research outpost, every sign of human presence in deep space had to disappear. If even one human remained outside their home system after the deadline, the hegemony would destroy Earth itself. Park exchanged worried glances with her second-in-command, Colonel Kim Hyun-woo. They both knew what this meant. Those 12 colonies weren't just empty outposts. They were home to over 2 million people. Families had been living there for generations. Children had been born on those worlds who had never even seen Earth. The hologram continued showing images that made everyone's blood run cold. Thousands of alien warships filled the display, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. The ships came from dozens of different species, all united under the hegemony's banner. Some looked like giant insects made of metal. Others resembled floating crystals that pulsed with deadly energy. A few appeared to be living creatures merged with technology in ways that hurt to look at. Veltar explained that this armada represented the combined military might of over 40 different alien civilizations. They had been waiting at the edge of human space for months, ready to strike. The ambassador's 4 arms gestured dramatically as he described the weapons they possessed. Plasma cannons that could melt entire cities, gravity bombs that could crush planets, biological weapons that could wipe out all life on a world in hours. As the transmission ended, Park realized that humanity faced an impossible choice. They could abandon everything they had built among the stars and accept life as prisoners on their own world. Or they could fight against odds so overwhelming that defeat seemed certain. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. The age of human expansion was over, and the real test of their species was just beginning. The emergency meeting lasted 18 hours straight. Commander Park Soo-jin sat at the head of a massive table surrounded by Earth's most important leaders. Military generals, colony governors, scientists, and politicians argued back and forth about what humanity should do. Some wanted to negotiate. Others suggested hiding on distant planets. A few even talked about surrender. But Admiral Kim Tae-ho had a different idea entirely. He stood up slowly, his weathered face showing the determination that had made him Earth's top military strategist. Instead of running away or giving up, he proposed something that shocked everyone in the room. Humanity would fight back with everything they had. Within hours of that decision, the largest mobilization in human history began. Kim worked around the clock from his command ship, sending urgent messages to every corner of human space. Cargo. Vessels were converted into warships. Civilian transports became troop carriers. Mining ships had weapons bolted onto their hulls. Every single spacecraft that could fly was being prepared for war. The response from the colonies was immediate and overwhelming. When evacuation orders reached the farming world of New Seoul, Governor Choi Min-seo sent back a simple message that became famous across human space. She said her people would rather die as free humans than live as alien prisoners. The mining colony on Titan Base echoed the same sentiment. So did the research station orbiting distant Kepler. One by one, all 12 colonies sent the same response. They would not abandon their homes. They would not run from the aliens who threatened them. If the hegemony wanted their worlds, they would have to take them by force. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory buried deep beneath Seoul, Dr. Lee Nari worked with desperate intensity. She had been studying alien technology for years, ever since the first peaceful contact with other species. While everyone else focused on trade and diplomacy, she had been preparing for this exact moment. Lee believed that humanity had one crucial advantage that the aliens didn't understand. Humans adapted to new situations faster than any other known species. Where aliens followed rigid patterns and ancient traditions, humans could change their thinking in minutes. They could learn new skills during battle. They could modify their weapons while fighting. Her laboratory became a hive of activity as teams of engineers and scientists worked on revolutionary new designs. They took human technology and pushed it beyond all previous limits. Weapons that could fire multiple types of ammunition, shields that could adapt to different energy frequencies, ships that could change their configuration during combat. The most important project was something Lee called the Neural Link System. It would allow human pilots to connect directly with their ships, making them react as fast as their thoughts. The aliens might have superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy that could evolve during battle itself. As reports came in from across human space, one thing became clear. Every man, woman, and child was ready to fight for their freedom. The aliens had given humanity 30 days to surrender. Instead, they had 30 days to prepare for the war that would determine the future of the human race. The attack came without any warning at all. Captain Choi Min-ho was drinking his morning coffee on the bridge of his patrol ship when the alarms started screaming. Frontier Station, humanity's most distant outpost, had just appeared on his sensors, but it wasn't alone. Surrounding the small research facility were 12 massive alien warships, their weapons already firing. Choi watched in horror as the first wave of plasma beams tore through Frontier Station's outer defenses like they were made of paper. The station's shields flickered and died within seconds. Explosions bloomed across its hull as the alien weapons found their targets. This was supposed to be a peaceful research station with only basic defenses, but the hegemony was treating it like a major military target. His communications officer, Lieutenant Park Jin-woo, turned to him with panic in his eyes. The distress signals from Frontier Station were desperate. Over 200 researchers and their families were trapped inside while alien boarding pods smashed through the hull. The station commander was begging for immediate help, but Choi's small patrol fleet had only 6 ships against 12 alien warships. Any sane military commander would have called for reinforcements and waited. The smart thing to do was retreat and gather a larger force. But as Choi listened to the screams coming through the radio, he made a decision that would change everything. He ordered his ships to attack immediately. The first few minutes of battle went exactly as expected. The alien weapons were far more advanced than anything humans had ever seen. Energy beams that could slice through ship armor effortlessly, missiles that seemed to think for themselves and couldn't be fooled by normal countermeasures, shields that absorbed human weapons fire without even flickering. Choi's flagship took hit after hit. Sparks flew across the bridge as systems overloaded. The smell of burning electronics filled the air. 2 of his escort ships were already drifting in space, their engines dead and hulls cracked open. It looked like the battle would be over in minutes. But then something incredible happened. Instead of giving up, Choi's crew started to notice patterns in the alien attacks. Engineer Yoon So-young realized that the enemy shields had a rhythm to them. They pulsed every few seconds, becoming weaker for just an instant. Weapons officer Kim Jae-sung figured out how to time their shots to hit during those weak moments. Within an hour, the humans were doing things that should have been impossible. They modified their weapons during the battle itself, changing energy frequencies to match what they learned about alien defenses. They reprogrammed their missiles to copy alien movement patterns. Most surprisingly, they began using pieces of damaged alien ships to upgrade their own vessels. When Admiral Kim Tae-ho arrived with reinforcements 6 hours later, he couldn't believe what he found. Instead of wreckage and defeat, he saw human ships towing 3 captured alien vessels behind them. Frontier Station was damaged but still functional. Most shocking of all, Captain Choi's crew had somehow learned to operate alien technology well enough to turn it against its creators. The impossible had happened. Humanity had won their first battle against the hegemony, and they had done it by becoming something the aliens had never encountered before. The news hit the Galactic Council like a shockwave through space itself. In the grand chamber that floated, between 3 suns, representatives from 40 different species sat in stunned silence. The holographic display showed the impossible results from Frontier Station over and over again. 3 hegemony warships captured, human vessels somehow, using alien technology, a small research outpost that should have been destroyed in minutes, still functioning after 6 hours of battle. Ambassador Veltar stood at the center of the chamber, his forearms shaking with rage, and something else that looked suspiciously like fear. For over 3,000 years, the hegemony had been the galaxy's ultimate military force. No species had ever successfully fought back against them. Most civilizations surrendered after seeing just one demonstration of their power. Those foolish enough to resist were crushed within hours, but the humans had done something that broke every rule the galaxy understood about warfare. They had taken hegemony technology and somehow made it work better than the original creators could manage. The captured warships were now flying under human control, their weapons systems upgraded in ways that hegemony engineers insisted should be impossible. The younger council members began talking all at once, their voices creating a chaos of different languages and sounds. The insectoid Zarthak clicked their mandibles nervously while demanding immediate retaliation. The crystalline Velnari pulsed with angry red light as they calculated how many ships would be needed to crush this human rebellion. The gaseous Mordath swirled in agitated patterns, their chemical signals showing complete confusion. But in the back of the chamber, one figure remained perfectly still. Ancient Councillor Kethmore was older than most civilizations in the galaxy. His species, the Eternal Watchers, had been exploring space when many of the current council races were still learning to make fire. His long serpentine body was covered in scales that had seen the rise and fall of countless empires. When Kethmore finally spoke, his voice was so quiet that the entire chamber fell silent to hear him. He told them about legends that most species had forgotten, stories passed down from the very earliest days of galactic civilization, tales of a mythical race that their ancestors had feared above all others. The old legends spoke of beings called the Warborn. Unlike other species that reached their peak and then remained the same for millions of years, the Warborn could evolve during their own lifetimes. They grew stronger through conflict itself. Every battle taught them new skills. Every enemy they faced made them more dangerous. The ancient texts described them as a species that turned warfare into a form of rapid evolution. According to the myths, the Warborn had appeared in the galaxy once before, countless ages ago. They had started as a weak species on a single world, but through constant warfare, they had become unstoppable. Other civilizations had been forced to work together to drive them back to their home system, where they had mysteriously vanished. As Kethmore finished speaking, a terrible possibility began to dawn on every member of the council. The behaviors they were seeing from humans matched the old legends perfectly. The rapid adaptation, the ability to improve captured technology, the way they seemed to get stronger with each battle instead of weaker. The humans might not be just another young species trying to expand into space. They might be the return of the galaxy's greatest nightmare. The hegemony's response was swift and brutal. 3 days after the Frontier Station incident, they launched the largest coordinated attack in galactic history. At exactly the same moment, massive alien fleets appeared above New Busan, Terra Nova, and Harmony Ridge. The message was clear: humanity would pay for their defiance with blood. On New Busan, Governor Lee Min-jung watched from her command bunker as the sky filled with alien warships. The agricultural colony had never been designed for war. Most of their defenses consisted of mining lasers hastily converted into weapons. When the first wave of plasma fire rained down from orbit, entire city blocks vanished in seconds. The Colony's shield generators overloaded and exploded, leaving them completely exposed. Captain Park Do-hyun led the desperate defense from his converted cargo hauler. His small fleet of 12 ships faced over 30 alien vessels. Within the first hour, half his ships were destroyed or crippled. It looked like New Busan would fall just like the hegemony planned. But then, something remarkable started happening. Lieutenant Kim So-min, working frantically in the engine room of Park's flagship, noticed something odd about the alien energy weapons. They all used the same basic frequency pattern, just like a radio signal. While explosions rocked the ship around her, she began modifying their own shields to resonate at the same frequency. Suddenly their defenses became 3 times more effective against alien fire. The same pattern was repeating itself across all 3 battlefields. On Terra Nova, pilot Choi Jae-wook was locked in a desperate dogfight with an alien interceptor when he realized something important. The enemy pilot was following a predictable pattern, turning left after every 3rd attack run. Jae-wook started anticipating these moves, turning his inferior human fighter into a deadly predator that could outmaneuver superior alien technology. Down on Harmony Ridge's surface, things looked even more hopeless. Alien ground forces had landed, in massive dropships, bringing weapons that could level buildings with single shots. But Sergeant Yoon Hye-jin and her squad discovered that the aliens had made a crucial mistake. They were so confident in their technology that they never bothered to secure their own equipment properly. Within hours, Hye-jin's team had figured out how to operate captured alien rifles. Not only that, but they found ways to make them more efficient than the original users could manage. The weapons had safety limiters that prevented overheating, but humans simply removed those restrictions. The result was guns that fired faster and hit harder than their creators had ever intended. The most incredible breakthrough came from engineer Jang Tae-young on New Busan. While hiding in the ruins of a destroyed research facility, he managed to capture an intact alien shield generator. Working with just basic tools and spare parts, he not only got it functioning but actually improved its power output by 30%. The aliens had designed their technology to be safe and reliable. Humans redesigned it to be dangerous and effective. By the end of the first day, something impossible was happening across all 3 battlefields. The humans were winning. Ships that should have been destroyed were limping back into combat with alien weapons grafted onto their hulls. Pilots who had never seen alien technology before were flying captured enemy fighters. Ground forces were using alien equipment better than the aliens themselves. Each battle was teaching humanity new lessons, and they were learning faster than anyone thought possible. In her underground laboratory beneath Seoul, Dr. Lee Nari stared at the test results with growing amazement. For the past week, captured alien technology had been flowing in from the 3 battle zones. Each piece of equipment told the same incredible story. Humans weren't just learning to use alien devices, they were making them better. The plasma rifle from Harmony Ridge was a perfect example. In alien hands, it could fire 20 shots before overheating, but when Sergeant Yoon's team modified it, removing what they thought were unnecessary safety features, it could fire 40 shots and hit targets twice as far away. The aliens had built their weapons to last for centuries. Humans rebuilt them to win wars. Lee called her assistant, Dr. Park Sung-ho, over to look at the shield generator from New Busan. The original alien design was elegant and efficient, meant to run continuously for decades without maintenance. But engineer Jang had torn out half the internal components and rewired the rest. The result was a shield that used more power but provided 3 times the protection. The pattern was everywhere. Lee looked. Alien technology was designed by species that thought in terms of thousands of years. They built things to be safe, reliable, and unchanging. Human modifications were the complete opposite: dangerous, powerful, and constantly evolving. Where aliens saw perfection, humans saw the starting point for something better. But the real breakthrough came when Lee examined the neural patterns of human pilots who had flown captured alien ships. The brain scans showed something that made her hands shake with excitement. The pilots' minds were actually rewiring themselves in real time. New neural pathways were forming as they learned to interface with alien technology. Their brains were evolving to become more compatible with foreign systems. Miles away in Earth's command center, Admiral Kim Tae-ho was reaching his own shocking conclusions. He had been studying intercepted alien communications for days, trying to understand their strategy. But the more he learned, the more confused he became. The hegemony's tactics made no sense for a superior force trying to destroy an inferior enemy. Their attacks were too scattered, their warnings too numerous, their demonstrations of power too obvious. Kim had seen these patterns before in his own military career, but never from the position of strength. These were the desperate moves of someone who was afraid of their opponent. Late one night, as Kim studied star charts showing hegemony fleet movements, the truth hit him like a thunderbolt. The aliens weren't trying to destroy humanity because they were angry about territorial expansion. They were trying to destroy humanity because they were terrified of what humans might become. The final warning hadn't been an act of mercy from superior beings toward primitive humans. It had been a desperate attempt to avoid a war that the aliens weren't sure they could win. Every species in the galaxy followed predictable patterns. They reached a certain level of technology and stayed there for millions of years. But humans broke that pattern completely. Kim realized that humanity represented something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could evolve technologically during their own lifetimes. Every battle made them stronger. Every captured device became a stepping stone to something better. In the span of a single generation, humans could advance further than most species did in millennia. The Galactic Council wasn't trying to stop human expansion. They were trying to stop human evolution before it was too late. The final message from the hegemony was different from all the others. There were no more warnings, no diplomatic language, and no chances for surrender. Ambassador Veltar appeared on every human communication channel simultaneously, his forearms spread wide and his glowing eyes filled with cold determination. The entire hegemony fleet was coming to Earth's solar system. 10,000 warships from 40 different species, carrying enough firepower to crack planets in half. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood in Earth's command center, watching the long-range sensors as the massive alien armada approached. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Ships the size of cities, carrying weapons that could turn moons into dust, energy cannons that could boil oceans, gravity bombs that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. But Kim wasn't panicking. For the past month, humanity had been preparing for exactly this moment. Every asteroid in the solar system had been converted into a weapons platform. The belt between Mars and Jupiter now bristled with modified alien cannons and human-built missile launchers. Each rock had been hollowed out and filled with the deadliest technology two species could create working together. On Luna, Commander Park Soo-jin watched as the final preparations were completed. The moon's surface was now covered with shield generators, powerful enough to protect entire continents. Underground factories churned out ammunition using techniques learned from captured alien equipment. Most importantly, deep beneath the lunar surface, Dr. Lee Nari's greatest creation was finally ready for testing. The neural command network was humanity's secret weapon. It connected every human pilot, gunner, and commander in the solar system through quantum communication links. Information could be shared instantly across billions of miles. When one pilot learned a new tactic, every other pilot knew it within seconds. When an engineer discovered how to improve a weapon, the upgrade spread through the entire fleet immediately. Engineer Jang Tai-young had spent weeks installing the network nodes throughout human space. Each one was built using a combination of human creativity and alien precision. The aliens had invented quantum communication to coordinate their fleets across vast distances. Humans had improved it to share knowledge and experience in real time. On Mars, Captain Choi Min-ho prepared his expanded fleet for the coming battle. His original 6 patrol ships had grown into a force of over 300 vessels. Most were converted civilian craft armed with weapons that shouldn't have been possible. Cargo haulers carrying plasma cannons, mining ships equipped with alien shield generators. Even luxury yachts had been turned into fast attack craft. But the real strength of the human fleet wasn't in numbers or firepower. It was in their ability to learn and adapt faster than any enemy could counter. Every alien tactic they had faced in previous battles was now stored in the neural command network. Every weakness they had discovered was shared across the entire defense force. Every improvement they had made to alien technology was ready to be deployed. As the hegemony fleet crossed into the outer solar system, humanity was ready for them, not with superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but with something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that could evolve during battle itself, turning every encounter into a lesson, and every lesson into an advantage. The final test was about to begin. The battle began exactly as the hegemony expected. Their 10,000 warships swept into Earth's solar system like an unstoppable tide of destruction. The first wave of alien fire tore through the outer defense platforms, turning asteroids into clouds of glowing debris. Human ships that tried to intercept the massive fleet were vaporized by weapons that could punch through any known armor. Commander Park Soo-jin watched from Luna's command center as her forces took devastating losses in the opening minutes. Hundreds of human ships were destroyed before they could even return fire. The alien fleet's shields absorbed everything humanity threw at them without even flickering. It looked like the massacre that the hegemony had promised, but then the neural command network activated, and everything changed. Pilot Lee Jae-sung was diving his converted mining ship toward an alien battle cruiser when something incredible happened in his mind. Suddenly, he could feel the experiences of every other human pilot in the battle flowing through his consciousness. He knew exactly how Captain Yoon had outmaneuvered a similar ship near Mars. He could sense how Lieutenant Kim had found the weak spot in another vessel's armor. The knowledge of hundreds of pilots merged with his own skills in seconds. His ship began moving in ways that should have been impossible. The alien battlecruiser tried to track him with its massive guns, but Lee was already 3 moves ahead. He wasn't just flying his own ship anymore. He was flying with the combined experience of every human pilot who had ever faced alien technology. Across the battlefield, the same transformation was happening everywhere. Engineer Park So-young was working frantically to repair damaged systems, when the network flooded her mind with solutions from dozens of other engineers. She began combining repair techniques in ways she had never thought of before. Her hands moved with the skill of a master craftsman who had decades of experience she had never actually lived. The aliens began to notice that something was wrong. Their targeting computers couldn't predict human ship movements anymore. Vessels that should have been easy prey were dancing between their weapons like they could see the future. Human fighters were flying in perfect coordination without any apparent communication, moving like a single organism with thousands of parts. But the real shock came when the human weapons started penetrating alien shields that had been considered impenetrable for millennia. Gana Choi Min-jung was firing modified plasma cannons when she suddenly understood something that no human had ever known before. She could feel the mathematical relationship between energy frequency and shield harmonics. Her weapons began shifting their output in real time, finding the exact frequency needed to slip through enemy defenses. The hegemony fleet's advantage in technology meant nothing when humans could understand and counter it faster than alien computers could adapt. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were being outfought by converted cargo haulers piloted by beings who had been in space for less than a century. Ancient Counselor Kethmore's worst fears were coming true. The humans weren't just adapting to alien technology anymore. They were transcending their own limitations through the act of combat itself. Each battle wasn't just making them stronger, it was making them into something entirely new. The Warborn had returned to the galaxy, and they were everything the old legends had warned about. The silence that followed the battle was more terrifying than the explosions that had come before. Of the 10,000 alien warships that had entered Earth's solar system, fewer than 2,000 remained operational. The rest floated as twisted wreckage among the asteroids, their hulls cracked open and their weapons systems dark forever. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the surviving hegemony forces tried desperately to retreat. But humanity wasn't finished with them yet. The neural command network had given every human commander perfect coordination, and they moved their fleets like pieces on a chessboard that spanned the entire solar system. Captain Park Do-hyun led the pursuit beyond Neptune, his ships moving faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. The human vessels weren't just chasing the retreating enemy. They were hunting them with the patience and skill of apex predators. Every alien ship that fell behind was surrounded and captured. Every attempt to regroup was anticipated and countered. The transformation in human technology was now complete and terrifying. Ships that had started the battle as converted cargo haulers were now hybrids of human engineering and alien science that surpassed both parent technologies. Weapons that combined the raw power of hegemony plasma cannons with human innovation that pushed them far beyond their original design limits. But the most shocking change was in the humans themselves. Commander Park Soo-jin could feel the difference in her own mind. The neural command network hadn't just connected human forces during battle, it had permanently altered their consciousness. She could sense the thoughts and experiences of thousands of other humans across space. Knowledge flowed between them like water, creating a collective intelligence that no single species had ever achieved. When the surviving alien fleets finally stopped running at the edge of the solar system, they found themselves surrounded by human ships that moved with impossible coordination. Ambassador Veltar's transmission crackled with desperation as he tried to negotiate some kind of surrender. But the humans had learned too much about hegemony politics to trust simple words. Admiral Kim's response was broadcast across the entire galaxy, reaching every species that belonged to the Galactic Council. His message was simple and terrifying in its calmness. Humanity had tried peaceful coexistence for decades. They had followed galactic law, respected territorial boundaries, and sought diplomatic solutions to every conflict. But the galaxy had chosen to see them as prey to be hunted rather than neighbors to be respected. That time was over forever. From this moment forward, any attack on human colonies would be met with total war. Any species that threatened human civilians would face the full power of a race that grew stronger through conflict itself. The galaxy had created its own worst nightmare by forcing humanity to evolve through battle. But Kim also offered something that surprised everyone listening. Humanity didn't want conquest or revenge. They wanted what they had always wanted, the right to exist and grow among the stars. Any species willing to respect that right would find humans to be valuable allies and trading partners. The choice belonged to the galaxy. The transmission ended with a promise that sent chills through every alien listener. Humanity would be watching. They had learned to see across vast distances, to coordinate across multiple star systems, and to adapt to any threat faster than their enemies could imagine. The final warning now belonged to humanity, and the cosmos listened in fearful silence to the new guardians of space.